Let's talk about Janet Yellen.
Welcome to Quibbles Over Coffee, and
Oh,
today
yeah.
we are talking about Janet Yellen.
We're talking about Janet Yellen. Okay.
So, tell me about Janet.
So I have mixed feelings on Janet Yellen.
Okay.
Okay. My mixed feelings are twofold. One, I like her.
Okay.
And two, I don't like her. Those are my two feelings.
At least like her came before don't like her.
Yeah, I think so. So, okay, I like her. I like her because of her views on the carbon dividend. She's been a very vocal supporter for the carbon dividend. The carbon dividend is the way that we fix climate change. If we don't have the carbon dividend, we are going to fucking die. Specifically, if we don't have the carbon dividend, what's going to happen is that Nigeria, and particularly Lagos, as well as Kibera, in Nairobi, is going to be totally fucked. Right. And if they get totally fucked, they're going to become a petri dish for extraordinary diseases that make COVID look like like a fucking joke, like comparatively, like a common cold. Right. And they're going to genuinely wreak havoc, the likes of which we've never seen in the history of the world from a disease perspective. They're going to make the Black Plague look like child's play.
I don't like that.
We don't like that. We need to fix climate change so that all of the Middle East doesn't become uninhabitable. And Janet Yellen is on team. Let's not watch all of the Middle East become uninhabitable, because if that happens, then all of Africa will become flooded with climate refugees, as will Southern Europe, as will all of Asia, and that's going to be bad. It's going to be bad because slums are bad. We don't like slums. Slums are bad. Jonah doesn't want to die, so we need to fix the slums. Okay.
Sure.
Therefore, in that sense, I like Janet Yellen.
Okay.
I dislike Janet Yellen. I dislike Janet Yellen because she wants to limit the use of cryptocurrency. And this is not ideal. This is not ideal at all. Because
what is she, the cabinet? What is she the secretary of?
So she is the secretary of the Treasury. And so you would think that would give her more control of the cryptocurrency than over climate change and over the carbon dividend. It's true. That is somewhat valid. She does have more control of the cryptocurrency than she does over climate change. That said, climate change matters a lot more. So we're going to just share this screen real quick. We're going to show this thingy-maboob right here. Janet Yellen, this is from Wired. Janet Yellen will consider limiting the use of cryptocurrency. During her confirmation hearing, the Treasury nominee said that the blockchain-based financial networks are of a particular concern. So basically, her worry is that they are being used for illegal activities. And to be clear, like, she is right. Particularly in the case of Monero, she is absolutely right that 100% they are being used for illegal activities. That's absolutely true. There's no real argument against that. That said, I think that in an aggregate sense, that the importance of cryptocurrency can't be sort of undervalued because they're used for bad things. They're also used for really good things. The decentralization that they're responsible for means two things. Number one, it means that it's very difficult to have foreign powers and even domestic powers, our country as well, is responsible for this. It's very difficult to spy on your citizenry based on cryptocurrency, comparative to more centralized systems. Centralized versus decentralized, meaning like is all of the information stored in one singular space, compared to decentralized, meaning it's not, meaning that it's distributed among a bunch of different places. And so in order to hack into a decentralized system, you'd have to hack into a variety of places rather than hack into and I shouldn't even say hack, rather, but spy as well. You'd have to spy on one place rather than spying on a bunch of different places. So spying on like how Bitcoin or how Monero, how any of these things, any of these different cryptocurrencies are being transferred from point A to point B is very difficult comparative to conventional currency. So in that sense, I think she's wrong there. But I'm worried about like what the implications of this would be if the United States really tried to crack down on cryptocurrency, because my worry is that specifically the result of that would be that cryptocurrency ends up happening in places that are not the United States. And that's scary to me. It's scary to me because realistically, the stuff like this, like once the technology exists, So we're not going to like disappear Bitcoin. That's not a real threat. Bitcoin is not going away anytime soon. Neither is Monero, neither is IOTA, neither of any of these things. They're going to stay around. Ethereum is going to stick around. They're not going to die. What is going to happen is if we have a treasury secretary who's really pushing hard against this kind of stuff, if we have a government who's like genuinely pushing to try to end this, it's a real concern for me, because I think that the result will be that we end up seeing a bunch of stuff popping up and a bunch of new companies, and the sort of the basis of this as a new market happening broadly in the third world, specifically in South America. I don't think it's going to be mostly in Africa. I think it's going to be mostly in South America, because South America is in the same time zone as we are, and I think they have an advantage there, and also because they all speak Spanish. I shouldn't say all, but as a broad swath, they speak Spanish pretty fluently, which means that they're able to access sort of these international markets better, and they're able to interact more easily and more efficiently with an English speaking audience than is Africa. But I do think that like this is a serious problem, right? I'm worried about her forcing out this whole growing economic structure out of the United States' influence and into the sphere of influence that is very distinct from our own. So I'm frightened. She frightens me on this sense, but she makes me very happy on the other sense. She makes me very happy when she talks about climate change. She talks about the carbon dividend. So I'm going to give her like a 7.5 out of 10. I'm not like mad at her, but I'm not particularly happy with her.
Okay, I have a few questions.
Yeah, go for it.
I guess could she get rid of cryptocurrencies in America?
No. She can make it a lot harder. She can definitely try to tackle. So she can certainly push down hard on the ability of apps to make it easy to transfer them. She can certainly make it hard for the ability of distribution and transition from cryptocurrencies into hard currency, into like fiat currency, US dollars. So she can make that harder. She can make it harder for a bunch of different new companies to pop up in the United States. She can make it more difficult for them to get financing. She can make it much more difficult. And so the result of all of that wouldn't be to end like the underlying technology exists. It already exists. It's not going away. She does not have the ability to destroy Bitcoin even if she wanted to, which to clarify, frankly, I think she wants to, but she can't. So I'm not concerned about that, but I am concerned about the implications of this as a growing economic system and a growing sort of framework of anti-authoritarianism is happening elsewhere. It's happening outside of the influence of the United States. That scares me.
Is there a way to like crack down on the specific ills of the cryptocurrency without like restricting it as a whole?
Yeah, so the way that cryptocurrency works is everything is decentralized. I shouldn't say everything, but the ultimate idealized form of cryptocurrency is that everything is decentralized. That therefore everything that even if I wanted to, I wouldn't be able to see your data. Right. Yeah. So that's the example of like DTube is an example of that. BitChute is an example of that. We talk about Steemit. That's an example. These are all social media sites. We can talk about like the decentralization represented by like Signal. Signal is a good example. WhatsApp used to be a good example, but then Facebook bought them. They're less a good example today than they were 3 years ago. There are a bunch of different sort of systems for decentralization. They're all based on not cryptocurrency, but based on that same decentralization, that same sort of technology. Yeah. And the cryptocurrency specifically is a way of decentralizing economic value, right? And so like there are some currencies that are fixed to the value of the US dollar. So there's like so those are in a physical sense, they are built on the same system. They're still designed off of blockchain, but they're based on the US dollar value. There are other ones that are based on the value, sort of just like that people decide to ascribe them to. So that's the example of like Bitcoin, which has increased a great deal over the last few years. It crashed intensely, but it's bounced back since then. And so a lot of these, I think reasonably, she should be concerned that a lot of these are very open markets, and these markets aren't. They're very subject to fraud, right? So an example would be Ripple. Ripple, I won't call them a fraudulent company because I don't want to get in trouble. But Ripple, I won't call them a fraudulent company because they will all get in trouble, right? Like there are companies that I think are that are taking advantage of this system as a way of getting a great deal of funding for their programs in a way that isn't actually providing their investors a great deal in return. And so there is a reason for her to be concerned about that. But I think the way to fix that is to grow awareness. And I don't think that there's actually a way to get legislation there, which is unfortunate. And I wish there was a way to better legislate around that, but I just don't think there is. I think that the way that you get around this is simply through greater information, and legislation itself is sort of, even if we wanted it to be the go-to, it can't be the go-to in the same way that it could be in the past when things were more centralized.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, that's who Janet Yellen is, and we adore her, and also hate her.
Okay.
But she's going to be confirmed, and I think she's going to do a good job on certain things and a bad job on other things. But I have no overarching intense qualm with her comparative to other people who might have taken that same position, because I think that Biden is, if anything else, a bit of an authoritarian, and so authoritarians don't like blockchain.
Sure.
So this doesn't shock me.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. We'll see you next time for the next cabinet member.
Yeah, we're going to do like one of these every day for this week. So like, yeah, I think tomorrow is going to be our one on Pete Buttigieg. That one's going to be very spicy. But we're going to go through all of the different people who are coming into cabinet positions. Yeah. We adore you. Like and subscribe. Au revoir.